Okay, let's try this again. Please try not to try to join the chat so it doesn't crash it. And hopefully we can connect with Dove soon. In the meantime, I'm going to keep reading all your questions and comments. I'm definitely, hopefully... By the 400th time I do this, I might get it right. I'm just waiting for the requests to come in. From Dove, not, let's see. The cast is great. I mean, we're doing some press this week, as a lot of you have seen online. I wonder, am I allowed to? I feel like I'm just talking to myself because I kind of am, but okay. Okay, if Dove comments on the live. So it says, Dove, if you comment on the live, you'll be able to join. In the meantime, I'll keep checking the requests. Instagram should have like a better system for this. We do have a date for the US. Everything's pretty fluid right now, so I'm not going to say any more dates until things are more solid. And sorry for my eyes are like so red, but I've been on camera and stuff all day. Lots of fun Zooms, lots of fun interviews talking about our movie, and a lot of excited journalists. Was fun. Not quite the same as making or meeting you guys in person. Okay, there we go. I think we can, maybe. I think this is gonna work, guys. I think we got it. Yay! Okay.
Hi! Sorry.
Hi.
Ages.
No, I'm so bad at Instagram anything, so I'm just waiting for it to go wrong at all times and never know how to connect or save anything.
I'm the same. I'm so bad with technology. I'm good. I'm alive. How are you?
Same. It's kind of a weird question. Like, everyone's like, how are you during quarantine? It's like, well, you know, how am I supposed to be? The world's on fire. But I'm fine in my house.
Yeah, I know. I was just texting somebody saying that I feel like the quarantine, how are you, is actually more like, are you good? Like, are you okay? Like, rather than being like, how are you?
Yeah. And there's like levels of like, it depends who asks. Is like, you know what answer you want to give them depending on who the person is. So like, do you really want to know how I am, or is this like small talk?
I know, exactly. But how are you? Oh my God, I did not realize you could put stickers on yourself. Sorry,
I am good. I did it right before. I was like playing with it. I'm like, I wonder what I can do. I'm always so close to the camera too, so it's always awkward. I'm always like, hi guys. And then I always get comments like, don't be so close to the camera. And I'm like, what do you mean?
You're like, let me look closely at your comment.
Yes, exactly. So thanks for going live with me to talk about your song and being in our trailer.
Yeah, thank you so much for going live with me. I'm so excited to speak to you for the first time. Basically, like, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I know, it's such a weird world where we all feel like we like know each other, but we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some questions. I'll try not to be too boring, so we'll just kind of like riff off
You can never be boring.
So first, can you describe We Belong in 3 facial expressions or words?
Oh, facial expressions. That's hard. I'm also, this is so stupid because I'm an actor, but I get really self-conscious on camera. Like, if I'm holding it, I'm like, oh God. I don't know. Facial expressions, that's hard. Maybe like a cheeky wink, and then like a kissy face, and then, I don't know. Oh God, I'm too much of a cringe to do this. Okay, 3 words. I would say like cheeky, romantic, sexy.
Good. I feel like those words translate over to After We Collided as well.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
Will you describe We Collided in 3 words?
I would say intense, sexy, and probably I'm going to steal Cheeky from you.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I mean, even reading the lyrics, like typically when you get, just for the process, like to bore people for a second, is when you get a song and they're like, oh, this is going to work for your movie or your soundtrack or this. And you're like, okay, probably not. And then I heard the lyrics and I was like, wait a second. It feels like she wrote it for the movie, which isn't necessarily the case, but it's so hand in hand with what we're talking about and the messiness of relationships. I think we're in this time where everyone is so hyper focused on everything everyone's doing, but relationships are messy and complicated, and the song and the movie both talk about the messy parts. If you want to talk for a sec about just like kind of peeling off the layers of the everybody's happy and everybody's in love, and really talking about the messiness of relationships.
Yeah, it's a hard one because, you know, relationships are so interpersonal, obviously, and so varied and different from, you know, one person in a relationship. The next time they're in a relationship, it's entirely different, even if it's that same one person. So I feel like, you know, so much of it is chemistry, chemical, and then like your own individual, that individual. I have such a hard time speaking about sort of like more intense relationships, which is kind of the only relationships I've ever experienced. Because it's just really hard. It's like, unless you're in that relationship, you can't always relate or understand fully. But I think that a lot of relationships, especially when people are young, and especially when you have sensitive people and when you have artists, but again, especially when you're young, like, I don't know almost anybody who, peer-wise and friend-wise, who hasn't been in like a really intense, hot and cold, highly romantic, push and pull kind of relationship. And yeah, I mean, I think by nature they're really messy.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I pretty much only write about really messy relationships, with which obviously opens up a lot of criticism. But you know, if people were writing and making music and making movies about just two perfect people not making any mistakes, we wouldn't really have any art. So I like reading about and watching more messy kind of relationships. And they, you know, they're people when you're young. It's so, I've literally been married like half of my life, so sometimes I forget how like that young love and like crazy, like every little thing, you hang on every word, and every fight is this big thing. And I think people forget that. And so songs like We Belong and movies like After We Collided, and just tons of other Normal People, like all of these great things show the realness. Are you finding yourself, I'm going to skip around because now I feel like I don't need the questions, but are you finding yourself more, is it harder to create during quarantine, or is it easier, or is it both? Is it up and down?
I mean, I don't know about you, because obviously you are also, I write songs and you write incredible books. I mean, so my only real creating that I can do from home is writing. I'm not skilled with like Pro Tools, or what's the new one, like Ableton or whatever. People are gonna be like, that's not what it is. But I'm not skilled with actually producing my own music at home yet. Yeah. And I guess, I don't know about you, but I anticipated lockdown to be more, like, I thought it was gonna be more, I was gonna be like, wow, I'm really in my creative juices. Like, what else is there to do except to be a creative genius? And then like, you're a real person and you're like, I'm bored, I'm tired, I'm, you know,
anxious.
I'm so anxious.
The plethora of emotions.
Sorry, I live above the busiest street in the world, and I'm always like, nobody can ever hear me because there's always loud cars. Yeah. So I feel like I'm definitely writing and being creative, not as much as I had thought, but also this, you can't plan for this. Like, this is so hard on everyone.
Yeah, and every day is different. A lot of my friends who are in creative industries, whether it's writing or acting or anything, they're like, I feel like we all kind of set ourselves up in the beginning of quarantine of like, okay, we're on lockdown, we got this, we're going to do all these things. And it's like, there's so much happening in the world that it's just, it was kind of a naive gesture that we all, and a very ambitious thing of like, I thought, oh, I'm going to write. I've actually been able to spend time with my family a lot more than usual, because usually I have to go on book tours and all these things, which I love doing. But my son has special needs, and so any time with him is like very special and very sacred, and I travel so much and stuff. So it was really, I feel very selfish in the way that quarantine has been good for me in that way. I don't, it's such a complicated thing because I thought, you know, I'm going to write 3 books. I'm going to be so inspired. I'm going to write one about this. And then I saw some authors like literally writing whole books, and then you compare yourself to other people, and it's just like a cycle and a spiral of anxious, like anxiety. So it's been pretty complicated. And I noticed from your social media that you are pretty outspoken about your opinions and activism, which I love myself. And I'm pretty happy that you do that because you do have such an influence. So it's pretty great if you want to talk a little bit about why you're outspoken and why you're not afraid to stand up for human rights in general. It's a heavy question.
No, I mean, I think it's a pretty, first of all, thank you so much for your answer. I can imagine. I don't think it's selfish that you enjoy aspects of lockdown. You know, like I think that this is a terrible time in the world, and whatever like brief moments of solace we can find, or like maybe there are small upsides, I don't think that's evil. I don't think that's selfish. I think that that's necessary to survive this terrible time. Speaking about, you know, social issues seems nothing to be commended for as much as it is something that everybody should do. Like, it's just, if you're not doing it, it seems so actively, I don't know. It's like there are some things where I can understand if someone was like, oh, I don't want to get involved with that. Like, you know, I don't want to open up myself to speak about things that I don't understand, or I don't want to be in a position of standing for something that I don't know everything about, or whatever it is. But not when it comes to this. Like, not when it comes to this time in the world, not when it comes to a pandemic, not when it comes to the state of our government, not when it comes to Black Lives Matter, not when it comes to like this absolute panic that the world is in, and also our country. I don't think that you can be neutral. I don't think that you can prioritize your career or what people think of you above like what matters. If you have a platform and you're not using it, you're being irresponsible. And I think that that's it. So I don't think it's really like a matter of like, I don't know, like, I know this sounds really harsh, but if people are like, I just don't really get involved with that, I'm like, why? Like, what, like,
yeah. And what do you do then? And it's like, it's such a weird thing where people are like, I'm not political. And it's like, this isn't
really political.
It's not. It's about people and systematic racism and people being murdered and people dying because of it, like all of this stuff happening. It's like, this is not political. Like, I have a lot of people who are like, you're so political. And I'm like, first of all, compared to if I had more free time, I would be a lot more political. But it's something that it's our responsibility. Even if you have 200 followers, it doesn't matter. It's about using your voice and caring about other people. And the idea of a pandemic being a political thing and racism being political. I have an African-American husband and a Black son. And I'm like, this isn't political. Either you're on the right side or you're not. Like,
yeah, it's just, when human rights are called into question and people aren't willing to speak on it, like that's highly telling and confusing. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of like, why is it important to me as much as it is like, why isn't it important to everyone? Like, I don't know.
Yes.
Kind of feels like it's obvious.
Yeah, it should be. It really, honestly should be. Let's see. What else can I ask you? I feel like there's a million things. Let's see. I already asked you how you've been. Are you in LA during this, or are you?
Yeah, I am. Where are you?
In LA, yeah.
You're in LA? Okay. What part? Well, I'm like asking you where you live.
No, like Studio City area, but not,
okay,
I won't be more vague than that or more specific than that. But yeah, I mean, my neighborhood's pretty quiet, but there's been a lot of people like walking around and stuff, and I'm just still like in heavy lockdown. Like, we went camping as a family, like isolation camping, like we weren't by people.
That's so fun.
It was really fun. And my son hasn't left the house since March. So he was like a little confused, and he has autism. So he was like, what is happening? But it was really nice to be outside without people and not being worried, and not like, I haven't been able to, I've been in my office, like surrounded by books, not really, like, it's almost kind of suffocating. So the camping really was great. And now we have all this promo for the movie, and now everything's like starting back up. So I'm like, excited, but it's just such a strange time to like, it's hard to find the joy in these little things, but then we have to, otherwise we will go totally crazy.
How old is your son?
He's almost 9, which is crazy.
That's so much fun to go camping at that age. That's so magical.
Yes. Yeah, and he like, there was like a family of peacocks, and he was just like,
what, in LA?
No, outside of LA, in California still, but outside of LA. It's like this campground with all of these. You're basically like in the forest with a bunch of peacocks. It was really cool. I can send you the name privately.
Yeah,
it was really, really fun. Is there anything that you do besides writing, or do you like find yourself more into acting or writing lately, or both, or none?
It's so funny. I feel like I'm doing nothing with my days, but then at the end of it, I will have like done so much, but it's not even like I could tell you what that is. I feel like I'm working so much, if that makes any sense. Like there are hardly anything's filming right now, which I think is smart. Like the things that are filming right now, I'm like, for what? Like, I don't understand. I'm like, well, I know that like the world needs more content, but like, for who? For what? Like we're fine. But besides writing, I'm obviously like reading a lot of scripts. I'm developing a bunch of stuff that like hopefully I'm going to be producing myself and starring in and things like that. So like it's like detail stuff. Like I think a lot of people don't know how much like daily kind of like office stuff goes into being an actor. Like I'm just making calls and doing paperwork and reading things and sending that and like doing tapes and videos, and it's quite like a job. So I'm able to kind of do that from home and, you know, kind of try to like work out or stretch and then like read and learn French and just like stuff. The one thing I have really enjoyed is the fact that because there is so little distraction, I feel like my brain has gone back into a sort of like a semi-sponge mode where like I haven't had that since I was really in school when I was younger. And so being able to like focus on learning or like really absorbing something and not being distracted by the daily life is quite nice. Like it's been kind of good, harder on mental health and also good for mental health.
Yeah, I feel like me and a lot of my friends have been kind of going through like almost like a crisis mentally, but not in a bad way necessarily, but just like having so much time with yourself, especially when in any creative and entertainment industry, you're constantly bustled from person to person and place to place and hotel to hotel, and really like sitting alone with ourselves, at least for me and my friends, has been great but very challenging, and like realizing a lot of things about ourselves and our friendships and our families. And like it's been a lot of like interpersonal reflection and like or I could have just said self-reflection, but a lot of reflection and like dissecting things in my life and choices that we've made and writing. And it's just like I feel like at the end of this I would love to see what the kind of case study is on how overall it has affected this generation of people, and all the people that didn't get a graduation when their whole life they've been told like graduation's so important, and then in reality it's like I've been out of high school for I don't know 12 years. It really isn't that important, but it feels so important at the time, and something is taken away from you, and all the weddings and all of this stuff. So
so many weddings canceled.
I'm like
I can't imagine a world where it doesn't leave a massive mark. I think that it's definitely like my best friend and I are constantly like sending each other voice notes back and forth being like, I'm having a breakdown, you know, I'm not okay, I'm on the floor, like being like, do you feel that way? Because I feel crazy today. And I think like definitely like personally speaking, like my mental health is kind of always not my last priority, definitely one of my top priorities, but like it's not the priority, you know. It's like if I'm not in a great place but I have this responsibility, I gotta get that thing done, and like I'm gonna show up for it, you know. I definitely feel like my mental health is kind of at the mercy of my heavy schedule, and with this time I've been able to focus more, and then like but then with that lots of shit comes up, right? You're like, oh, there's the trauma, oh, there's the trigger. But I think it's been good. Like I know what you mean when you say like, what was it you said like you were like I feel like I'm breaking down, but like not in like a bad
not
way.
in a bad way, like a crisis. It's like a mental health crisis, but not in a bad way. And it really, when you were saying like not necessarily putting your mental health as a priority, it's like I feel like until the last year, I've never really even thought. I think about everyone else's mental health and everyone else in the world, but the problem of being an empath, an extreme empath, is like I put myself last all the time. And it wasn't until quarantine that I realized like, wow, I gotta like really figure out like who I am and what I'm doing and what my purpose is and how I've affected people and how I can continue to affect people. So it's been like a heavy time, but in a good way. I think everyone hopefully can come out of it with something, whether it's your own mental health or your friends or music or movies. Like we've thankfully had already filmed the second movie, which you actually, I don't know if we're allowed to say, but I'll just say it anyway. You have another song in the movie. So it's not only the trailer, it's the infamous shower scene that everyone is really excited for. You have another song there, which I don't think I can say which one it is, but I'm sure people can maybe guess and figure it out. But so it was kind of a natural fit for your music to be involved in the trailer. And sorry, there's a guy in my yard, but it was the delivery. I was scared for a second.
Oh God, tend to
like,
that.
what's happening? Yeah, I think our time is almost up. So if you want to say anything else or ask anything else, it was nice chat to like see your face and talk.
I'm curious. Whose team are you on? Are you on team Trevor or team Harden? Or
I'm on
team Tessa?
I'm more of a team Tessa right now. I'm definitely more team Tessa, especially where the story is. I'm definitely more of a team Tessa. I love Harden, I love Trevor, but Tessa's got to figure it out on her own really before she can really be with anyone, all of them. That's the kind of beauty of this messy relationship, is that it's up and down and all over the place. And it's that idea that you can't change someone by loving them. They have to really change overall. And in the second installment, the characters aren't quite there yet. So for now, I'm team Tessa until everybody gets their shit together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What a beautiful thing. And also, like, God, is there nothing more true than that? Like, you can't love someone for the potential. They got to meet you there.
Yes. It never works. Like, we can write all the books and all the things we want and all the songs with happy endings, but in reality, people have to want to be better, or you can't love them through it. Like, I love that message, even though it's sad and it's not romantic, but it's just real life of people are messy, and you know, you don't always have to love someone at their worst to love them. It's like sometimes you will be brought down to your worst for them. And then after Tessa loses herself a lot in Harden, and she is aware of it, but she just can't stop it. Like, it's literally like she just cannot help herself, and he can't help himself. And it's just so much intensity without spoiling anything. So I'm glad.
I think we've all been there relationship wise.
Yes. I mean, even though I've been married a long time, we've had like, it feels like we've been with multiple versions of each other.
Well,
so
you've been together for ages.
We've evolved so much that it's like every few years we're like different versions of ourselves, and there's kinks you have to work out. It's not quite as messy as what I'm writing necessarily, but it's you know, we belong together, as corny as I'll be. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And for your support. And we cannot wait to see, I know the fans are going to die over the shower scene with your song in it and the trailer with your music. So thank you again. Thanks for being cool. And,
thanks so much for speaking to me. You're so cool.
Yeah, thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a great rest of your day. Okay, bye guys. Bye. Nice to meet you.
Bye. I don't even know how to turn it off. Oh wait, yeah, there it is.